Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
In the faceless city, there's usually way much more going on than we can ever really appreciate. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to assume that you do because you're listening right now. You can subscribe to the podcast. You can find us over at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, basically wherever you get your podcasts. It's all good. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to follow us on social media. You can find us over at Facebook, at Instagram, and at Twitter. Where else? At In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because if we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, and in theaters now, well, in Toronto anyway, and rolling out over across Canada and potentially North America, I'm not quite sure, but it is Très belle journée, or as the kids call it, very nice day. And it's the story of a bike courier, Jérémie, who speeds around the city delivering anonymous packages, blindly following the instructions of his boss. He's a solitary creature of habit, and he records a podcast where he shares conspiracy theories. But when a famous Instagrammer moves right next to his apartment, he develops an obsession with his new neighbor's lifestyle, and things really start to fall apart for him. This is a interesting film which was shot on the cheap on an iPhone, or iPhones as it were, and it's got a hell of a look to it, and it's a really interesting story from writer director Patrice Laliberté. And it's got some great people in it, and again, it's a real thrilling film, and it's a fantastic example of some of the great cinema that is coming out of Quebec, which those of us here in Ontario and the rest of Canada don't necessarily get to see often enough. But we had the unique opportunity of sitting down with Patrice and star Guillaume Laurin, who plays this bike courier, Jérémie, and we talked about the sort of the origins of the film, how they did it, shooting on iPhone, and so very much more. But it's definitely a film that's worth your time. Like I said, it is playing now in theaters in Toronto, and it is, I suspect, rolling out over several locations across Canada, one can hope. But enjoy our talk with Patrice and Guillaume, because between you and me, it's a pretty good one. All right. Well, gentlemen, obviously, first off, just thank you so much for the time today, and congrats on the movie, man.
Thanks for us for reaching. It's amazing to talk about the film. It's a hell of a pleasure.
No, I mean, Patrice, I guess my first question is for you. Like, walk me through sort of the origin of the story on your end.
The origin of the story is the origin of the project is to make a film with the cell phone. Before we didn't have a story, and we would like to shoot with a cell phone, and the story created by the constraint, I'm sorry, my English is a little rusty.
We had no money, so we knew that we needed to work with a tool that was not going to cost a lot of money, and the cell phone would be the tool, the perfect tool for us to shoot a film.
And we start to write a story about, not about, but with what would be a great story to tell with the cell phone, and we start to talk about the communication between the individual, and we talk to Ben, sur la communication.
The whole isolation of Jérémie and the fact that he has so much trouble reaching out to others.
For sure.
We're so engaged in communication right now, and everyone needs to be in contact with social media and everything. And he's the outcast. He's on the outcast of that.
Well, I mean, that dovetails into my next question for you, Guillaume, because I mean, your character, I mean, he's sympathetic, but he's not necessarily likable all at the same time. Like, walk me through sort of finding this guy.
Yeah, the task was pretty weird to do because, like, we were shooting on a cell phone. We didn't know the complete story of the film when we started shooting. We had an idea of the whole, like, of where we wanted to go, but we were still writing while we were shooting and going in the editing room, seeing some versions of the scene. So walking through the film, I got to a point that I was like very insecure about the fact that it wasn't going to be boring, that we are alone with this guy who keeps on just stalking people. So it took a time for me to be in confidence about the character and just let go you don't have to do too much stuff. You're going to be alone with Patrice filming you on a cell phone in a kitchen without the whole, the whole lighting. Yeah, the whole spectacle of movie making.
Right.
But to find all, like, for the whole process, we were like, how can we make people like Jérémie? And the podcast came. We thought about it, that if we don't see him talking to people, then we need to have access to him by the podcast, which is like his personal diary.
For sure. No, I mean, it works so well. And I mean, it really gets us into sort of the headspace of this guy. And I mean, I love that paralleled with just basically the city shots. I mean, with driving throughout all the city. Like, can you guys walk me through, I guess, how you wanted to design sort of your character having to weave in and out of traffic? Because I mean, the photography on it is quite amazing. And I mean, like you said, and it's on a cell phone. So
well, we biking a lot, so
we're bikers.
Yeah, so we know a lot of, and there's a part of our life too, like
in the movie,
go through the city and biking, and there's a lot of place you see in the movie. We have to we used to cross all this place on a
regular day basis.
Yeah. And it was important for us to Montreal to be a city character. Is a little bit cliche, but for this movie, it was very important to show Montreal as we know it. Yeah. As we know it, and it's a part of a neo genre. It's the noir genre, so it's
right.
It's a very classic. The city have the city have to have a big impact on their character, and he has to go through this inhospitality landscape or a city or a place.
And since we had the phone, we knew that we wanted to make the film be very sensoriel. We wanted to get the audience in with me, having the feeling of really, like, because we used to live quite far apart, so we would travel the whole city to go to a meeting together or things like that. So we wanted to bring the audience with us, like when we're riding, skipping in the traffic, so that was I think, like Patrice said, we wanted to show a side of Montreal that we don't usually see, but as Montrealers, we know that aspect of Montreal.
No, and I mean, I think you guys did that very well. And I mean, something else that really stood out for me was the chase in the metro. I mean, I got to imagine you guys did that guerrilla style, but I mean, did you sort of map out what you wanted to do beforehand? I could imagine it's a bit of a dance, sort of as you're trying to get all that together.
It was a very tough day because the day we shot this, it was supposed to be a one shot, and Guillaume hurt himself, so we have to reshoot it. We have to reshoot a lot of things, so we didn't do it like how we expect to. So but it was, you're right, it was completely guerrilla. We didn't ask any permission, and after that we blur face and we deep fake some face in the subway just to make sure that people doesn't recognize themselves.
Right.
So that's how we choreograph it, but it was very illegal. Like one friend of us spot if there's any security guard just before Guillaume jumped over the fence. So it was very like a guerrilla, and I was inspired by a film. It's called what's the name? Escape from Tomorrowland. There's a crew who get into Walt Disney.
Right.
Completely, and they shot like a thriller movie, but
yes, yeah.
Without the permission of Disney. So it was very inspired by, if we shot a film with a cell phone, we are like very stealth. So we don't look like a normal movie crew. Like we just like we look like YouTube guy or. So it's for us. It was very the perks to shot with the cell phones to just go anywhere in the subway or at the influencer event, because we like bump an influencer event without any permission, and we played
we played like we were the team doing a video for Sarah-Jeanne Labrosse at the event. When she's really playing, she was there as Sarah-Jeanne Labrosse doing some real interviews, but she was all in her Iliane clothing, and people were like, whoa, Sarah-Jeanne was so weird that day, and was not.
Because anyone know we shot a film, a real film, so
right.
It was very fun to go in this
undercover,
in this mindset.
So Guillaume, I gotta ask, did you clear the turnstile in one take, or did it take a couple of tries?
Well, what happened is that I rolled my ankle. I slipped in the, like we go down the stairs running, chased by the two guys that are chasing me, and I skipped 10 stairs and I rolled my ankle very badly. So we had to take three weeks off. And but after that we were back. We did the whole sequence. We didn't do them a lot of times because it was so like we were really jumping the fence. We were really like.
Well, yeah.
But it was very, 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 very physical, which is what we like with the movie. We're like, maybe the character's not gonna talk a lot, but he's gonna ride his bike so intensively in the streets of Montreal. He's gonna run it. Like, we knew that we wanted something physical that the camera could follow us and bring the audience with me.
Well, and I mean, the physicality comes through, and I mean, I think even if you had shot this sort of on a regular film camera or even like in film, it like necessarily wouldn't have come across like that. How important was sort of that kinetic sort of physicality and almost brutality? How important was it for that to come through in the story? Because I mean, as much as this movie is called A Very Nice Day, it's kind of not a very nice day. It's the exact opposite.
I don't know. Ouais, sur le mouvement, sur à quel point la brutalité physique est importante.
Not about brutality, but about the kinetic. Was as we said, we made a lot of tests. And we reshoot a lot of things because it was very a new tool. We didn't know how to shot a film with a cell phone. So I remember that we start with the mindset of we're doing a classic films with a large shot, a close one, a reverse one, and it was so boring. And we realized that the classical language is not the one we like. The one we see is the best for the camera or the cell phone. So we put it on stabilization,
Yeah.
and we realized that it's like to having a Steadicam every day. So at this point, we said, oh, okay, we don't have any money, but we have Steadicam every day, so let's move. So this was very important with the cinematographer Christophe Dalpé to make blocking with a lot of movement, with a lot of because that's what paid the most.
For sure.
I'm not sure that I answered the right question, but well.
No, you did. No, you definitely did. Because I mean, this is a film that feels big, but obviously it's one you made with next to no money. And I mean, I'm kind of curious for your both. What are the kind of films that inspired you to get into this business in general?
In general,
Well,
well, I think there's two that we could say that we both, Gomo and La Haine.
yeah.
These two, I think we both shared them a lot in our heart.
And for these films, we think about the first one of Nolan, The Follower. Following. Sorry.
Yeah.
Following Taxi Driver, for sure. It's a great inspiration in this film. And
You Were Never Really Here I think was released while we were shooting. So we saw the movie and we were like, oh, we need to do some things differently because there was so much similarities.
Well, I love that, man. But you know what? I mean, I'm so glad audiences all across Canada are going to get to see this film because, I mean, just on a personal note, I've always been a big fan and champion of Quebecois cinema, and I mean, I think this is a perfect example of that because, I mean, you guys knocked it out of the park with a hell of a thrilling ride that, you know, like you said before, made on a next to no money kind of budget. And I mean, it's a great example of Quebecois filmmaking. And just, guys, congrats on the work, and thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.